Kupina kuphi emakhaya nasekomplasta khona ke leli ke Yilungelo Lakho, it's your right, coming to you live from Johannesburg. Ngisimpiwe ngicongwane lihlelo ke kulethela ke tindzaba letitsinza wena ke bathengi. Khumbula ukuthi nawe ungaba ingcenye lelihlelo ke ngithi ushaya icingo lapha ke e-studio ungasithinza futhi nakuma social media platform ethu ku Facebook na ku Twitter kanzi leli Yilungelo Lakho. Now, if you own a house, you may be tempted to do any changes that fulfill your dreams, or you think the car you bought could perform even better if you fiddle with its key components. Unless these assets are paid for in full or are out of warranty, doing modifications on them without informing your financier first could land you in big trouble. Yebo ke mbukeli, uma ngabe kugucula simo sendlu yakho noma ke semoto losayikweleta, kungaba nemthala muni. Asisive ke na umbiko. Kepha ke singakafike kulo umbiko ke asesibonge sasithanze ukumukela ke ma guest ethu sinaye ke okay asisinaye ke Elias Shamatla yena ke he's a consumer analyst naMpho Ramatong yena ke uvela lapha eFNB Home Loans. Samukela nhleleni sanibonana.
Morning.
Well, first of all, I'm going to start with you, Mpho. What risk is there if I don't let my financier know about my modifications in the engine yam?
So it should be on the consumer's best interest to inform their financier on the changes that they will do on the properties that they have that are bonded. Reason being is that should there be any issues on the properties, if your financier doesn't know about those changes, you might be running at a risk. For example, let's say that you bought a property for 500,000 and you decide to turn it into a business. So in a business, there is a different parameters that the financier would consider when they look into financing the property. And then the risk that you might be running at is that if you want to sell that property and put it back into the market, it might be that it's undervalued because of the area that the property might be at, or if things are looking good, you might get the good value for that property. However, with that being said, there's a different things that we look at as the bank. If you turn the intention of the property into something else, there is rezoning that we're looking at. We're looking at the municipal and taxes rates and taxes for that factor. So those are all of those things are the stuff that we're looking at as the bank. So that is why it is very important that you inform the bank of the changes that are taking place into the property, because it is in the consumer's best interest that they inform the bank together with the municipality and the insurer of the property.
So do people know about this?
Yes, people do know about this, but what we see in practice is that most often the consumers do not inform their financier on the changes that are taking place in the properties, which is wrong, and I believe that's the reason why I'm sitting here today, so that we can spread the news and create awareness in that aspect.
Well, on the other hand, as a bank, you run a business, right? So in the rush to conclude a deal, do you explain these very fine details to the consumers?
So I will speak for the bank that I'm working for, which is FNB. We are very customer orientated, and our engagements with our consumers, they're positive ones, whereby we take the customers through all the milestones when it comes to home ownership. To add on to that, we do have a component prior to the registration of the property, whereby the customer has to complete a home owners program. It is an online program which explains the jargon about home ownership. What does it mean if maybe, let's say, you get an email whereby they say the VAT has gone up? What is it that you need to consider? What does the municipality cost encompass? What are the factors that you need to put in place? So I'll speak
about that factor that is that explained to me? Looks like I need to notify the bank.
So most of the times that has to be explained to the customer.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Elias, siyakumukela hleleni.
Sawubona ba.
Yes, baba. Ingabe emalungelo ebathengi noma ke ema consumers are they trampled in a way?
Well, let's go back to when I applied for a home loan at the bank. In my possession here, I've got the approval from the bank. One of the things that it says here, a mortgage originator or third party was appointed by the customer to negotiate this loan with the bank. That's where the problem starts. You know why? I'm to the estate agent, I'm interested in this house, it's selling for 400,000. Indeed, I put an offer to the seller. The estate agent takes my offer to the seller accepts my offer. We are done, deal. Now, estate agent, here to a third party without informing me or explaining to me what is the role of this third party. This third party, Ubitwa mortgage originator, this is the person that takes my application to the bank. So now I'm not communicating with my bank. This third party, we are more. And nobody's telling me that this person is going to be paid by me. Now, when I read my agreement here, a mortgage originator or third party was appointed by me to negotiate with the bank on my behalf. So what does that mean? It means that the bank is going to increase my interest rate in order to pay this person. That I don't know. So now, whether this person explained to me everything, that's another story. So let's pass that. I move into the house. Things are tough. I can't afford to pay the monthly installments. What do? I had the back rooms at the back. Here is. Somewhere, somehow, I default in payments. I get default on payments. What does the bank do? The bank sends the valuer to come and value my property, as she has mentioned. How I feel about the structures around this property? It's either about my property is appreciated in value or it has depreciated in value at that stage. If it depreciated, it means that it's a temporarily security sa bank.
Yes.
Because when they financed the property, the valuation was 400,000. Now, the default is 300,000. So now they can terminate that agreement because I'm in breach now. I didn't inform them prior. So they can sell that property.
Okay.
The same as the car. When I buy the car, who do I go to? I go to the dealer. I test drive the car with the salesman. Afterwards, who to Kibuyele FNI manager, finance and insurance manager. This is the person who submits my application to the bank, not me.
Yes.
And the bank have approval on you. But they increase the interest rate because we're trying to accommodate the commission I'm to a third party. Whereas if I was talking to the bank directly, I was going to pay less. For example, this application that I have here, actually this approval that I have here, area interest rate is 14.48, whereas the prime rate is 10%. Why? Because there's a mortgage originator here that is involved. The bank has to pay this person at my expense. Yes. And nobody told me that my interest rate is going to increase in order to accommodate the commission of this person. Otherwise, it is easy. I could have gone to the bank myself.
So if the consumer claims that he wasn't informed of all these factors that I've just mentioned, what then? What happens?
The thing is that the minute you attach your signature here, it means that you agree with everything here. So in this case, the consumer came to us with this and said, can you please interpret this agreement for me? Hey, azanye uapente mortgage originator. Tell the bank that by withdrawing this application, you are resubmitting this application on your own by accepting at 10%.
True.
Yes. True. So now, coming back to the question, when we make the alterations on the security, what happens? Now the consumer is dealing with the bank directly. Now he completes that online program that she's talking about. Now she can ask all the direct questions to the bank, not a third party who's interested in commission only.
Okay. All right. Asibambe lapho ke mbukeli sasishelele ngasetolo sabuya khona nyalo. Lele ke Yilungelo Lakho siyakomukela futhi mbukeli indzaba ke namhla ke sikhuluma ngekugucula kwendlu nangabe unendlu noma ufuna ukuyigucula ingabe kumcoka ngani ukuthi watise libhange lakho ngalelo shintsho ke namhla ke sina Elias Shamatla, he's a consumer activist, phinze ke sibe na Mpho Ramatong yena ke uvela lapha FNB Home Loans. Just before we went to that ad break, you were just talking about the modifications to a property. Yes. Like if I buy my own house, if I buy my own car, what's the point of it, me not enjoying it in doing it as I please?
Is to notify the bank. Because after you have renovated the property, then they're going to send the assessor again, the valuer, to come and value the property and also adjust the insurance accordingly. Because now the replacement value of your property has changed. So that's why it's important. Again, talking about the rezoning. Now you bought a property for residential use. Now here you are, it's a hair salon. So it's about the parking, about all those things. Now, because now it's a business property, imagine if it's a bottle store, if it's a tavern, you know. So now the bank knows that the security has changed, because even if you sell that property, how many people are going to be attracted to buy a tavern? Because it's no longer a residential property. The same, if I deviate a little bit, the same as when I work for SABC and I earn a monthly salary of X amount, and then I resign or I get retrenched. I go and start my own business, which doesn't generate monthly income because I'm now doing projects, contracts. I get paid when I submit an invoice. Sometimes I get paid after 3 months. And that's what the contracts say. When you submit an invoice, you're going to get your payment after 60 days, after 90 days. Now banking, I have signed or I'll pay on monthly basis. That's why on the application form, you will see payment. I'm going to pay monthly or quarterly, half yearly or annually. It's because if, let's say, for example, when I bought a property, I was already running my own business. I will say I'll pay quarterly, meaning the bank mustn't expect the payments every month. They only expect payments after 3 months. That's what the farmers do. They pay once a year when they have harvested.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Apart from you, Mpho, the banker, who else should I notify of any modifications I've made on my home?
So there's the municipality and the insurer. So it's very important that the records that they have on the property, they are updated. So in a case whereby maybe, let's talk about the insurance. You have made the improvements on the property and then the value of the property goes up. And then it happens that something happens to you, or you might have even applied for a higher amount at the bank, but yet you forgot to inform your insurer. It means that if anything happens on that property, you would not get paid out the amount that you should actually be getting paid out. And even with the municipality, it's very important that they satisfy themselves with the condition of the property. Going back to the issue of rezoning, there's also other things that you need to consider. For example, now you're running a salon. Then it means that the water usage is very high. At the end of the day, whatever amounts that was considered when the application was submitted or assessed with the financier, it might have even doubled or tripled in that case. It means that if the salon is not generating enough income, somewhere on your debtors and bills, there is someone that is going to suffer. Let's say worst case scenario, it happens to be the mortgage. So you're running at the risk of not being able to honor the repayments on the property. Then it means your home loan will be in arrears.
Okay.
Yes.
Perhaps your biggest concern of me not notifying the bank is that it'll affect the value. Whatever modification I make on the property, it will affect the value of the property. Say I run a creche or a kindergarten or whatever the case may be, no modifications whatsoever are made on the house. How does that affect the value of the property?
So when you talk about the value of the property, you talk about a lot of things. So for instance, the maintenance and condition of the property, it has to be according to the security that the bank would like to have. That's number one. You talk about, for instance, let's say it's a crash. So the condition or the property might not be in the condition to take up the stress of the kids that are running around and all of that. So if you have a lot of kids in that property, you find that there might be issues with the walls, and then one thing happens that the wall falls down and it damages it gets to injure one of the kids. Then it means that you as the owner of that property will be in trouble. So what we always trying to do is that we always try to protect the consumer, which will be the customer that will be financed by the bank, and also the interests of the bank.
Okay. And then the insurance? So
even with the insurance, because at any given point in time, you must make sure that your debts, your credit life, your creditors and liabilities, they are equivalent to the insurance cover that you have. So for example, let's say that you get injured at work and you are not in a position to generate your monthly income. Your insurance does not have any retrenchment cover. So it means that you're not going to be in a position to pay your mortgage, which is a risk to the bank. So that's why now with the insurance, you need to make sure that you have the retrenchment cover, the insurance is updated with the developments that are happening in your personal life.
Yeah.
So that if you find yourself in an unfavorable situation, you know that you are covered.
So Elias, if I inform the bank that I've already modified my property for commercial purposes, and then the bank decides to hike the interest rates, they decide to hike the installment, which is far more than what I would be generating as a result of converting that property into a business, then the consumer is given a raw deal.
Fortunately, you are covered by the agreement. Or you bought a property for 400,000, they can increase the amount, they can increase the interest rate.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But however, people mustn't be afraid to improve the property by building the boundary wall, you know, the fence around the property,
yes,
to make it safe, to change the tiles, the floor tiles in the house,
okay,
to paint it nicely, to look presentable. But you don't expect that to increase the value of the property. Those are cosmetics.
It won't increase the value of the property?
No. I mean, even the value as when... you can go?
Yeah, so there's different tick boxes that we do. Perception that a lot of consumers have is that if they make improvements for 500,000, that's how much the property is going to be valued. So we don't only look or zoom in into the property, we also look at the area ratings. So the average selling price of the property in the area that you're staying in. That's why it's very important that you don't do over and above whatever that you can get out of the property when it comes to the stage where you want to sell it. For example, now technology have made things quite easy. You can actually do a research on the internet just to gauge the average selling price of the properties in the areas that you're staying at, so that you can at least benchmark yourself, or you can check that, okay, probably you want to have an infinity pool at Soweto. If you want to sell it, there is no way that you can sell that property for 3 million. Maybe just do a normal swimming pool, sell that property, generate enough income or liquidity out of that property, and then you can buy another property elsewhere at the value that is quite high.
So what sort of penalties would I incur for not disclosing the modifications I've made?
So it is in your interest that you must inform the bank. For instance, so let's say that you extended the property and you went over and above the boundary wall that was cut for you. Should the municipality know that that has taken place, they might even ask you to break down the walls because they don't know of any such developments. So even with the bank, we can't really say now that 1, 2, 3, 4 will fall in place, or this is what is going to happen, because we obviously assess each and every single case according to its merit. But it is very important that you must inform your bank, insurance and municipality.
All right. Let's leave it there for now. Tinga Africa setivuliwe sishayela icingo noma if unembuto ungashayela ubute lo mbuto noma kubeke umbono. We'll be back right after this. Thank you so much for staying with us, Mbukeli. Like Elias, if as a shift the focus manje to motor vehicles, so ngithenge imoto and manje sengidecide we pimpa, you know, to improve on the aesthetics and the performance of the car, maybe sengifaka a sound system. What are the risks involved?
Sunroof on a test. What happens, Corey? I increase the value. That's why how trader in Koloi how, ne? They don't look at the max, the sunroof, panoramic roof, leather seats. Bob, the value of your car is this much, does it? If you say, I've got a sunroof, but I keep. Because it's not in the book. In the M&M book that we use as the dealerships, I ran a valuation of the sunroof, panoramic roof, max, because the max are Kenya more dealershipping, we can say to aftermarket place somewhere. If you modify the engineer how from 1.3 to a 2-liter turbo now, I mean, actually it depreciates the value of the car. Yes, the car is quick, it's fast, but in terms of the valuation, so it's a risk to the bank because bank have a report as a colleague how default. How want to register car normal value because now it has been modified. So it will register whatever amount that a willing buyer is willing to pay.
Right. Let's go to East London now. Tandi, is there Sagomole Hlelo Tandi Sawubona?
Sawubona bhuti.
Kunjani mama?
Khona bhuti njani?
Awu siyaphila makhuluma nathi mama.
Okay, ngicela ukubuza bhuti ne. Mina ngithenge indlu apha East London ne, then ndayenza student accommodation, ne?
Okay.
And number 2 ngoku kwenzeka xa uthatha i-bond mos. Bekhona insurance yebhanka abayifakayo phaya.
Okay.
Ne? Now, I want to understand something. But now, kuba khona i-leak e-roofing. Yaqonda?
Yeah.
Ngoku xa ndiripota phaya baripota bana there is a leak e-roofing. Bafika bona bathi no, they declining i-claim yam because there is no evidence yobana kwakwenziwe i-waterproof e-roofing. And number 2, i-roof is i-level ye-roof. Ayiko high up to a point that it's not a normal level. That's what they said. It's a bit I'm trying to open this letter now, but it's not opening. So my question is, do they not supposed to look at all those things before insurance? Are they not supposed to take everything into consideration? Because when they come and they evaluate, okay, then we worth this much. Then basaka the insurance yabo as the bank. But if anything happens, you must call us. We'll repair or we will do whatever. But now, when you call, they decline to say there are things. How come they did not detect as of before?
Okay, just before I let you go, did you buy the house for residential purposes or solely for student accommodation? And did you notify the bank of whatever changes?
Okay, I bought the house for residential accommodation at first. Now, the end is student accommodation, but I still haven't modified it to student accommodation. The students are still occupying the existing rooms in the house.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing and I have to inform them about, of course, i-plugs will increase, change, like there's a lot that needs to be done. We need to upgrade from the umbane because the capacity will no longer allow us.
Yes, so the bank of single jail.
No, I thought I change umbane, but as soon as she upgrade umbane, so we inform.
Okay. No, sir, thank you so much for calling us. Our guests will definitely address your issue. How would you, Dr. Langompo, how would you address that concern?
So, the consumers inform the bank on any changes that are happening onto the property. So, to my earlier discussion in whereby I had said that you cannot use a property for what it was intended to be used for. So this is one key example that happens if maybe the house is getting a lot of pressure than what it was intended to be done. So what I would advise the caller to do is it's important that you must inform your bank as soon as possible. Noguti, you have changed the property. Okay.
Now, Elias, when confronted with a situation like this, how would you advise Utandi?
So under general terms and conditions of the agreement that she signed, kune maintenance. Under the maintenance, it is stated here in the agreement where she must maintain the roof and everything on the property. So normally, what happens, you'll see on the townhouses and so forth, every year they do waterproofing on the roof edge. You must do that. It's not covered by the insurance when the roof leaks because of the maintenance. But if, let's say, something, the tiles are broken, yes, then the insurance can entertain the claim. Not when they are fading away.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so the principle leyo yakwatisa libhange lakho, does it also apply when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to fixing the property? Because in some instances, you may find that in the process of that happening, then it does affect the value of the house, either positively or negatively.
So yes, it does. It does. So it's important to go to our consumers keep maintenance of the property in a good condition. But also, I think the mistake that we do as consumers is that we don't really read our contracts way to go to what is it in terms of the contracts, because there's a lot of insurance companies that will cater for our needs, our consumers, so that you can understand exactly what is happening. Because in this case, it's as if the insurance company does not want to pay out the insurance claim based on our findings that were done onto the property. So it's very important ukuthi ufunde contract yakho so uzokwazi ukuthi kwenzakalani.
So every time ngilungisa indlu nangabe ipheshulwe ngumoya, for instance, do I have to let you know?
So if you have the insurance,
because for instance, nangabe indlu i-value yayo iya-affecteka, nangabe benginema IBR roof sheets, and then my builder suggests ukuthi no, ngingasawafaki ama-tiles, salengifaka ama-tiles.
So that component is catered for the insurance of the property, because it's not like you went to the property wayenza ama changes. It
So it's
was
got nothing to do
natural
with
disaster. But in most cases, the insurance, it does cover for our natural disasters on the property. However, with that being said, over and above that, the maintenance of the property, it sits with the consumer ukuthi kufanele yenzakala ukuthi i-property, it stays in a good condition.
Okay.
Yes.
Asasiye lapha ke eNewcastle kuna Khanye, sakumukela Khanye ehlelweni sawubona.
Sanibonani.
Kunjani mama?
Ngiyaphila njani?
Siyaphila khuluma nathi mama.
I just want to deviate from the initial question that I had. Speaking of insurance, I've got a concern or just worried ukuthi isebenza njani, because ngifakile i-claim for insuring ama-pipes ayalika on the wall. So umuntu i-contractor ezokwenza i-job bathola ukuthi it's over 10,000, and the insurance is saying they only pay for maximum 10,000. So in this case, I'm just baffled. What then do I do? Do I have to now pay myself the difference, which is quite huge? And the structure itself obviously was never the right structure, because all the pipes are leaking in the roof, in the walls. So there's cracks all over the house.
That's actually an issue that is so prevalent, Khanye. Thank you so much for joining us and for calling us. Our experts will definitely help you out. If an insurance fails a consumer, what then?
Then they must approach the short-term insurance ombudsman.
Okay.
Yeah, because what happens is that I don't understand why Barry, the plumbing is limited to 10,000 rent only. How did they arrive to that? Because they have to cater for the full claim, and now what she has to pay, 500 rand excess fee only, and then they have to take care of everything.
Okay.
It looks like Bam short change them.
All right. Mpo, how do you respond to that?
So my response to that would obviously to refer back to the contract, because yes, ganing kuba nama fine prints whereby you don't interpret them correctly, because I do understand that a process umuntu ozoyifollow is to consult the ombudsman, but fanele uyazi kuqala ukuthi what is it that you got yourself into, so that you can take the proper steps to remedy the situation.
Okay.
So that's where I will start.
All right. Mhlawumbe nawe ke uke washintsha imoto yakho noma ke indlu losayigweleda lokho wagcina ukufaka enkingeni. Singathanza ukuva indzaba yakho ke uma sibuya ekhefini. Siyabuya khona nyalo. Uthini ke wena ngendzaba yethu namhla kumbe sikhuluma nje usenkingeni sishayele licingo kumbe ungatfola ke lusido. If I decide to renovate my house, but then after renovating it and I find that the value of the house is lowered, under what circumstances does a renovation or a modification lower the value?
Important question. Thanks for asking that question. So, like saying Shile Kalenoguti, value your property is a very tricky one because there's a lot of things that the banks do consider when it comes to the value of the property. So number one, yokala is the area, lapo indlu yakho ikhona, right? Condition your property as well. Amadlu in that area, it also depends ukuthi how quick can the properties in those areas be sold for. There's also what we look at the selling price and average or estimate selling price of the property in those areas. So after considering those components, at the end of the day, you're into it that determines the value of the property. So you find abo mama emakaya ukuthi bazothatha imali ye-stockfel balungise ama-tiles, ama-kitchen, nani. At the end of the day, they expect the value your property ukuthi izonyuka. In most cases, that is not the case. So, because it means that most of the property, you might sell it under a lower value based on whatever the market value of the area is, or you might be lucky and we using a value higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Utsinza indzaba ke lemcoka ke stockfels. Uthi nangabe umuntu uthole imali elsewhere like extra income from wherever stockfel or whatever, and then I decided to renovate a land only to find it's got nothing to, like, it doesn't do anything to the value of the property. What sort of recourse does that consumer have, if at all?
Well, there's no recourse because you just made your property look beautiful. Because the guy adds an evaluation doesn't even go to the property. Where's a desktop evaluation? I do office. When's a desktop evaluation estimate these properties worth this much? He doesn't have to see those beautiful cupboards inside your house.
So the desktop evaluation, I see accurate, is it?
Accurate. It's only accurate when you do the insurance valuation, because they have to see what we have in that property, because they have to ensure the replacement value of the property.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to keep the first around inside the steel care, the aluminium. You know what?
Okay. So the replacement value, is it normally higher than the actual value? Yes, because
replacement value, the insurance counts the number of bricks on that house, the actual type of fittings on that property. Yeah. The ceiling, what type of ceiling do we have? How expensive is it? Because should the house burn down, but trying to replace everything and put you back to the position that you were before the accident happened.
Okay. Yes.
Whereas the market valuation, that one is neither here nor there.
Okay. Even if I add extra rooms at the back.
Yeah. For example, if I buy a flat, you know, the bachelor flat in Hyde Park, where now build a triple story in the RDP houses, I'm richer than you in Hyde Park with my bachelor flat. Where now your property has been overcapitalized because you had a 4-roomed RDP house, why extender, why developer, now it's a triple story. Nobody's going to go and buy a triple story in the RDP area for 2 million rent. If they want that, they will go to Greenstone.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Mpoti, why you know that?
So he's 100% correct. Area, don't overcapitalize. That will be the advice. Ungafaki mali eningi kakhulu onto the property. If the area yakhona it's not developing or it's not growing at a faster rate. So it's very important that you do not put your eggs under one basket. Okay. So rather, instead of maybe renovating indlu for 1 million, look for another property elsewhere, ozoitenga, whereby you can generate additional rental income from it. Okay.
Or pay off this one.
Or pay off the current one.
But now it's tricky when it goes to cars. What's one warning? On the cars, the Consumer Protection Act says when you sell the vehicle or the goods, second-hand goods, to somebody else, you cannot charge extras that you have fitted in those goods. So in other words, how na koloi imoto, ufaki ma make wheels, ufaki your sunroof, leather seats, those are the extras that you fitted in yourself. Now, as the consumer, as the buyer, I'm not interested in those things. I can't drive the car without a sunroof.
So is the car manufacturer in that particular instance within its rights not to honor a warranty if it discovers that parts that it did not approve of were installed on the car?
Yeah, that's why it's very important, because that's why you have got accredited or approved panel beater, approved fitter, because those ones have been accredited or approved by the car manufacturer. If you buy the car in a lady 13 inches tires, and then we're now getting the Mac wheels, we get 15 inch. Then you have got an accident. But they affected the braking distance, because if you had the original tires, that 13 inch, the braking distance was so many centimeters. But because of this, it's so many meters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's leave it there for now. And having said that, let's take a look at the Facebook messages that are beginning coming through. Precious Mayisela Utsi, why is it so important to let the bank know about me changing my clutch kit in my car? Teboho Utsi, the system of buying a house through the bank was created to steal from people. Insurances are not fair. Vusi Makonja Utsi, the fine prints have always been a backfiring problem because they will never explain them to you. The problem is that we are only given the advantages and not the disadvantages. Fine print must fall. Thank you so much for your Facebook messages. Let's now go to Lady Smith. Guna Tiba. Sagumora Hlelo Tiba sawubona.
Yebo sanibona bhuti wami njani?
Siyaphila kunjani baba?
Ngikhona bhuti wami.
Siphilile baba. Khuluma nathi baba.
Mina bhuti wami nguthiba Lady Smith.
Okay. Sagumora.
Ngilenkinga nje la ngine police ne Standard Bank nginendlu elokhu ngene eBonny Park. Ngaba disabled ngo-2007. Ipolice yase Standard Bank enginayo ithi I'm covered for death and disability. Uma sengi-disabled, they then disputed the claim saying I'm only covered for death. The matter went to long-term ombudsman and again to banking ombudsman in my favor. The bank failed to respect the findings and the rulings of both ombudsman. I then took the matter to legal aid, where the attorney from legal aid failed to help me to say I must pay the bank. I then take the matter to public protector and went back to legal aid again. Even now, the bank wanted to sell my house. Actually, my house was auctioned already 2015. But I'm still staying in the house. So I don't know where to go because I've been to all these departments, ombudsman, and yeah.
All right, do you want to respond to him?
Baba, insurance ombudsman ruled in your favor.
Yeah, the ombudsman because of their clause 8. Because of their clause 8 to say I'm covered for death and disability, but the bank says I'm only covered for death. And the bank has arranged the insurance on my behalf. Standard Bank Insurance Brokers has arranged Liberty Life on my behalf. But now the Standard Bank Insurance Brokers, they must authorize with Liberty Life to pay the bank. Standard Bank Insurance Brokers don't want to give the authorization to Liberty. They only say I'm covered for death.
But insurance ombudsman are out in.
Long-term ombudsman wabatshela ukuthi abakhokhe ilokhungana ibond yami because I'm covered for both. Okay. Because of their clause 8. Minayo ipolicy in front of me here ethi I'm covered for death and disability.
Okay,
no banking ombudsman wabatshela ukuthi they must consider to pay my bond, but they fail to respect all the rulings.
Okay, Tiba, I'm so sorry for that unfortunate circumstances you found yourself in. Thank you so much for your call. Our experts will definitely help you out on that. This is a very complicated issue, isn't it?
I'm a producers, but I'm a contact details work.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I think maybe it's important to check what was the fine print, insurance and everything. then we'll just have to get back to him with a recommendation.
Okay, yeah, but then in this particular instance, does the bank have a say in what kind of insurance policy or maybe some sort of advice does the bank have to what kind of insurance policy or package a consumer needs to take?
No, the bank doesn't really necessarily have a say, or
Okay.
it can't dictate ukuthi what kind of insurance the consumer should have.
Okay.
But there has been development at a regulatory level whereby the issue of, specifically when you're talking about the credit life insurance, issue retrenchment, because this is what we are faced with la eMzansi ukuthi abantu abaningi bana nokuphelela umsebenzi uthola ukuthi abasanawo ama-options ebasale ngawo ukuthi bakhona ukubhatala izikoloto, so bayabapha i-option yokuthi bathathe i-retrenchment cover. But I think in this particular case, it's important for us just to study this. But i-bank angeke i-dictate kuwe ukuthi kufanele uthathe lena nalena nalena nalena.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as the mortgage capital amount is covered, so that you can be able to continue repayments or in an unfortunate situation of debt, so that the outstanding balance on the mortgage is covered, then the bank will be happy.
All right, Elias?
Just want to check why bank undermine an ombudsman ruling.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's the thing that we have to check.
Okay.
Because if the ombudsman says you have to settle the claim, they can't come back and say we can't pay.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be undermining the ombudsman. They have got a code of conduct that they have to adhere to.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your insight. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Sifika kanjalo ke emaphethelweni ethu elihlelo namhla sethemba ukuthi kude alisebenzisa lolwadi kwenda tinqumo letihlakaniphile kusasa. Asibonge kuMpho Ramadong kanye na Elias Shamahla ngesikhathi sabo ngekusiphakela ke lwadi. Siyabonga na kuwe kumbukeli ngekuba nathi kuze kube nginyalo. Lutawuphindwa ke lelihlelo ngalesine ebusuku ngensimbi yelishumi nakunye 11 p.m. Letinye ke tinhlelo tethu lesetengcile tatfolakala ku YouTube. Join Alicia Jali next week Monday at 12 p.m. with yet another informative topic on consumer matters. From me, Simpio Ngongwane, and the rest of the team, have a blessed week. Cheers.
Yilungelo lakho